meeting is being recorded.
Hello, welcome back to the Executive Career Jump Podcast. I'm your host and career concierge, Andrew MacAskill. I'm delighted today to be joined by Jeri Williams. How are you doing, Jeri?
I'm good. Yes, very good. Thank you.
And I believe we're live streaming on YouTube for the first time ever. Jeri's taught Luke everything he knows, apparently, and he's very kindly directing this via YouTube. So that's a first for us. So thanks for setting that up. That's something I haven't come across before. Most people on LinkedIn will know you, but just for people that don't, can you just tell us a little bit about your work and your story and a bit about yourself, please, just to frame the episode?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Jeri Williams. I'm owner of Smooth Accounting. So we're a chartered accountancy practice based on the South Coast, although we cover sort of the whole country and other countries as well. I started out working for practice, was there for about 10 years and then left and set up on my own. And now we're here.
And how long ago was that?
So I set up on my own in 2016, so 5 years ago.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How's it been? Smooth? Plain sailing?
It's a lot smoother now. It's been interesting. A bit of a whirlwind, I would say. And not for the faint-hearted. But it's 100% worth it. But it's been hard at times. Not gonna lie.
No, I think that's probably accurate. So take me back to that decision, because I said to you before we started recording, we're seeing lots and lots of people kind of building up the courage. I think particularly during the pandemic, that was a bit of a circuit breaker, and a lot of people have decided to go it alone and do their own thing. What was it that kind of gave you the courage or the impetus to make that career switch at that point?
I had just had my second son. So I had a 2-year-old and a 9-month-old, and I was in the process of sort of getting towards the end of my maternity leave and coming back to work. And it's something I had thought about before, but I thoroughly enjoyed my job and I enjoyed where I worked. It wasn't anything to do with that. But I was very much doing my own thing, kind of under their banner. So I was doing all my own social media, I was doing all my own networking, I was building up clients of my own. They were their clients, but it was all via me sort of thing. And I was looking after them kind of differently to how the practice was looking after the clients. So aside from the fact that they were the practice's clients, there weren't really many similarities, and it's very hard to change an established practice. And they've been around a very long time, and I just kind of wanted to do things differently. So it sort of came from there, but it also came mainly from having had my second son, and I didn't want to miss out on anything with the children. And you don't work less hours, you definitely work more hours working for yourself, but just having that flexibility to work when I wanted was a driving force behind the decision.
Yeah, I totally get that. So you're almost running a business within a business to some extent.
Yeah.
Anyway, is what I'm hearing. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And I was just doing things differently. My clients were being looked after differently. How I wanted to look after them. I was doing electronic signatures from day one. For the minute, as soon as I had a client, my first client, I was like, I'm not sending out a massive stack of paperwork to them in the post. Like, I'll just set up electronic signatures and I'll do it that way. But none of the rest of the practice were doing that. But I just carried on doing that. My clients, is just one example, but things like that, I was doing set fees, despite the fact we were all timesheet based, and things. So yeah, it just was sort of. And I wasn't held back at all. I was encouraged to do that, and it was great. It was a really great environment for me to be able to do that. But you're always kind of held back slightly just naturally by the entity that you work for, and that they were a certain way, they are a certain way, and I just wanted to do things differently. So I thought, if I start up on my own, I can just start afresh, kind of thing. and do it all a certain way and in a more modern approach, I guess.
And legal and accountancy practice for me always seemed to be, in general, kind of lagging like 10 years behind, was my experience of working in that sector and working with other clients. Why do you think that is? Like, why does that sector in particular not evolve at the same pace?
I don't know why. I think it's potentially a lot of people that work in that sector have worked in it for so many years. So those people are reluctant to change what they're doing. You know, if you've been doing something for 30 years a certain way and it's always been fine, you know, why would you change it? I think it's the newer generation of accountants or solicitors or whatever that are maybe stirring things up a bit and finding new ways of doing things and taking feedback from clients and seeing what clients actually want, you know. And also because accountancy, I can't speak for the legal side, but certainly accountancy is moved to the cloud in my career. So when I qualified like 12, 13 years ago, it wasn't like that. You know, everything was desktop based and Sage and, you know, things like that. And then over the years, we've seen this real transition to the cloud-based accounting, more access to data, HMRC enforcing making tax digital. So you almost have to embrace that if you want to last, you know, because if you don't, you are going to just get left behind.
And I think the typical finance function of reporting on what's already happened, that most of that's going to be done by tech anyway, right? So it's going to be more and more about forward-facing business partnering, driving organizations forward rather than reporting on what's been done. Is that your kind of take on where we're headed?
I think so, but also just easier access to data and real-time information, you know, like being able to see what's going on now and yeah, what you're planning going forwards and forecasting and budgeting and all those things. But I think gone are the days of kind of doing your accounts, you know, 9 months after the year end. You know, your data's like 18 months out of date and who cares? Do you know what I mean? What happened that long ago? Like, is so pointless. So that has to be done. That's a compliance thing and that's fine. But there are, I guess, firms that maybe sort of stay in that area and which is fine, and there's still a market for that, I think. But also there's a market for like you say, business partnering and actually working with your clients throughout the year and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think there's a bit of a mix at the moment in the market of the different types of firms. I'm sure there's still a market for both, but how long that will be the case, I don't know.
No, I don't know either. Yeah, it's an interesting space to see how it evolves. So let's go back to you taking the leap and setting up Smooth. Was it called Smooth on day one? Was that?
It was not.
What was it called on day one?
It was J. Williams and Co.
Right. How did you come up with that?
Do you know what? I didn't care.
Yeah.
I remember just being like, I just need a name. Don't care what it is. Like literally, yeah. I had no vision of it becoming a brand, of it ever being anyone else than me. Like I had no intention of that. So I didn't care what it was called. And being ICAW, being regulated by the Institute of Chartered Accountants, they are stricter on names. So they wouldn't, you wouldn't be able to call it like, I don't know. I can't think of an example.
I can't wait to hear what example you give here.
I can't think of an example, like Naked Accountants Limited.
Right, yeah, okay. That's probably family friendly.
Yeah. That's why a lot of accountancy firms are named after the partners' names. So if you think about accountancy firms that you've heard of, usually they are partners' names. That's historically because of the institute. So I was like, right, whatever, J. Williams & Co., done. Like, I didn't even think about it for more than 5 seconds. And then after a couple of years, and I had a few staff and things were changing, and I started to realise where this was going. I wanted to take my name out of the equation. So that's where we came for Smooth.
Love it.
Yeah.
So during that first 12 months, you've got a second baby.
Mm-hmm.
You're setting up a business.
Yeah.
Lot of life change.
Yeah.
Like, talk to me about that first 12 months, that journey. What was the highs and lows of that initial period when you reflect?
The highs were inundated with new clients, so I couldn't cope with the volume of inquiries and people that wanted me to help with their accounts and their tax work. And that was really boosting, morale boosting, because that was my biggest fear, was like, what if I just don't earn enough money? I've got like a book, I've still got it, with the things I was worried about, like, what if I don't get any clients? So that was definitely the highs of I'd say the first 12 months. The lows, I suppose, were just it's stressful, it's trying to juggle everything, really stressful, and I didn't really turn any work away, so I was just taking anything and everything I could get, doing work for free, do it, just not charging enough, and the sort of things that a lot of people do when they start a business. I did all those things, and I don't regret any of that, because it's definitely got me where I am now. But it's just a lot, it's working silly hours and being stressed a lot.
But does part of you like enjoy the chaos of it, or do you try and or do you struggle with the chaos of it?
Yeah, I definitely did enjoy it. Maybe not. Maybe enjoy is the wrong word.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe thrive on it a little bit, because I'm quite a ambitious person. So the sort of, the thrill of it. You can see that you're getting busier and busier, and start taking on staff, and then it's like, actually, if this carries on, then I'm going to grow the business, and it's going to be bigger and bigger, and where could I go with it, and all the sort of. So yeah, I definitely thrive on that kind of high pressure environment. I always have, even when I was employed. I was never satisfied with any level I got to in any job. I always had to be the next level, the highest level. Like, what's the highest level I can get to? I was a director at the firm I worked at. I'd gone from trainee all the way through, qualified, worked my way up, and then became a director, because I was like, I just want to keep going. I wouldn't ever just be able to sit and bumble along in a job. It's not me.
And do you know where that drive comes from, or do you think that's just personality?
I think it's just personality. I don't really know. I think I've had it since I was a kid, at school, and I was a high achiever at school, and, just college, uni, everything. When I was at school, I knew I wanted to be an accountant. I'd already made that decision. So I just did everything I had to do to become one. And I didn't ever look back, or deviate from that path. It was like, right, A-levels done, uni done. And I had my job lined up before I'd even graduated at Taylor Cox is where I went to work for the first year. So
yeah, that's good going.
Some people I'm quite academic, I'd say. So exams and stuff are quite suited to that type thing. Some people are more practical. I'd say I'm more academic.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Although you deliberately keep your videos and stuff non-academic. So that's interesting. We'll come back to that. Okay, so imagine there's somebody out there, right? We're going to call them Founder Fiona, who's listening to this. And she's just about to take the leap. Mm-hmm. As I say, there's heaps of people that are taking the leap and setting up their own thing. Mm-hmm. Like, what are the 3 bits of advice you would give Founder Fiona who's listening to this based on your own experience?
Grab a copy of my webinar on how I grew my business, which can be purchased from my website anyway. And that I just talk about literally how I went from 0 to 600 clients and how I grew it, absolutely everything I did. And so to that, I think the main thing I'd say is you need to marketing needs to be almost in your blood. It has to be the thing that you work on. You need to be a sales director before you are anything else. because if Fiona is an accountant, she can do accounts, and also she can get anyone to do accounts. Don't worry about that. That bit's the easy bit. But getting clients is really what you want to focus on.
Brilliant advice. And it's a shock to people, isn't it?
Such a shock.
No matter what you're in,
no
matter what you want to do, actually you're in sales and marketing, whether you like it or not, if you set up your own thing.
Yeah.
And you're going to spend the most of your time doing sales and marketing, not doing the thing that you maybe love and are really, really strong at. I think that's such a shock to people when they make the big...
It is. And I think when I was employed, I remember my boss saying to me, well, once I'd qualified, I was like, what's next? I'm qualified now, sort of thing. And he was like, well, now you need to go and win business. And I was like, right, what? Like, because I've always been given clients to work on. So I was kind of a bit like, I don't know what to do. How do I do that? So I started networking and over the years, and I built up clients. But he always kind of drummed it into me, like, that's what will separate you from other accountants, is your ability to win business. Anyone can do accounts, but if you can sell, then great, job done, sort of thing. So I was like, right, okay. So I think I really had that drilled into me. So I did it day and night whilst working for another firm, even though they weren't my clients. I did it, and I worked so hard at that, almost like I had something to prove. So when I set up on my own, I just carried on, but for myself.
Yeah, well, you have to, yeah.
Yeah, you have to.
And whilst it is stressful, I don't think you ever have the perfect amount of clients, right? If you're running your own thing, you're either oversubscribed and can't deal with making sure the experience is good, or you're bricking it that you're going to be out of business in 3 months' time, right? There's never any perfect flow, but out of the two, it's better to have too many. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. It's always better to have too many, and you're right. You just can't ever get it right, and I don't think that stops.
No.
As you grow and get bigger, I don't think that stops. But yeah, I would just say, because you asked me for 3 things and I realised I didn't really answer your question, but marketing. There you go. There's 3.
marketing, and go to Jeri's webinar. That's
go and get my webinar.
In the small print. Get the webinar and get the full playbook.
Yeah.
But yeah, good. Anyone who wants to do that, go and check that out. We'll put links in. So one of the ways you mentioned earlier, and that, where I came across your profile, and a lot of people did, was obviously been the online social side.
Mm-hmm.
So where we live down in sunny Hampshire, there's lots of traditional networking groups, right?
Yeah.
That you can do the rounds with. But at some point, it sounds like you started to experiment a little bit with social media and stuff. So, like, talk to us about why that was, how you've used it, and how you've built up, the following that you've got today.
I started on Facebook. But from a business perspective, I started on Facebook, but that was because I was using it so much socially. I always loved social media from when it started, and I was on it all the time. So it didn't ever feel like a conscious thing to use it for business. I just carried on doing what I was doing, but I would talk about the fact I was an accountant and stuff like that. And by using it so much, everyone I was connected with knew I was an accountant and was looking for clients. They would recommend me on there, and it really flowed. And I got a lot, the first couple of years, I've really got a lot of work from Facebook. And then accidentally kind of stumbled upon LinkedIn, and I posted one of my videos on there that I'd had a LinkedIn account years and years previously, but I deleted it because I didn't really know how it worked, and I used to get spammed on it all the time. But I decided to set up a new LinkedIn account, and I posted one of my videos that I'd had made for Facebook, and it did really well on LinkedIn and sort of just exploded. And I was like, oh, wasn't expecting that, and I've just stayed ever since, really, on LinkedIn. And I don't use Facebook at all anymore, and I haven't for a few years. Instagram and LinkedIn bring me quite a lot of work, which is great. But I guess it's consistency, isn't it? It's like anything. If you're consistent, you'll get results, and that's, I've been there every day for the last few years, so
I also think you've used humour very cleverly, because you talk about traditional topics but bring humour into it. I think that's really interesting, because I think humour just for humour's sake, I'm not so bothered about. But when you use humour to actually link into actual topics, I think that's really clever. So, like, why did you decide to do that? Because I feel like that's really made you stand out over the last few years?
Yeah, thank you. I think the first video I ever did was what accountants do wrong, and that was made for Facebook, although I have shared it on LinkedIn subsequently, but we've got three volumes of that now. But I just thought I could see video marketing being quite a big thing, and I thought, what can I do to stand out, I guess, and get attention, because I can stand there and talk about accounts and no one wants to listen to that. So if I can talk about the accounting world, tax, things like that, but just make it funny and make people want to watch the videos, then that's going to drive engagement, and that's going to hopefully bring leads, which it always has. So I think I just did the first one and that seemed to do really, really well. And yeah, it just went from there, really. It's hard because to make a lot of content, because I script all my videos, I write everything myself. I'll literally sit like the night before I know I'm going to film and just write anything and try. I basically start with a topic. So like, for example, we're going to film one today, which is how to save company tax, which is a good hook. Again, so it's trying to think of something that people are going to see the title and go, well, I want to save tax, and then rather than start off with like, well, what you can do is you can, because then very quickly people are going to lose interest in that. It's like, I've got the title, I've got all the bullet points of the things I want to bring up, so I need to try and make that funny. And then and it takes a lot of time and effort. It's really draining to do that for like a 1 or 2 minute video. Whereas I could produce a lot more content a lot quicker, but it would just be me stood there talking about stuff, and I don't think it would be as interesting. So yeah, I just try and make it a bit interesting.
Well, I think you've humanized it. Like when I was an accountant, like even my dad used to call me a bean counter, right? Like that was the view.
Yeah.
And so I think you've really humanized the finance thing, which is important because people will just relate to that, and that's why I think they're getting more engaged with it, which is really cool. It's really, really cool. There's not many other like partners of accountancy practices or finance business owners or even lawyers or anybody like that who's actually talking real and open and social. They're just not doing it, are they?
No, I don't think so. I mean, certainly when I put my first videos out, there was no other accountants doing video at all. And then there started to be some now, but I still don't think, or I certainly haven't seen any doing a similar thing to what I'm doing. You've got some using TikTok, and I do the odd TikTok from time to time, but you've got some doing that, and you've got some doing iPhone videos, and it's all great, and it's all content, and it all works in its own way. I think it's brilliant that people are exploring different options and stuff. But we have the filming studio here, which was a conscious move for Smooth to have our own filming studio, and like have Luke, who's here, to work for us to actually produce regular content and professional content.
Yeah. No, well, I think it's really working for you. Double down on it.
Thanks.
When you're coaching other people, because I know you coach other business owners and stuff as well who are going their own route, what do you tell them about social media? Like, what advice do you give them other than consistency, which you've mentioned, which is, an annoying given if you want to get anywhere with it. But what other sort of advice do you give them?
So you've got to start. Like, that's the thing is, so many people are like, oh, I just don't know what to do. Like, I just don't know. Just don't worry about it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, people are giving it too much thought to the point that they're not doing it at all. And that's the thing. I think you've got to overcome that and get out of your comfort zone and use it. It's a free platform. Okay, your time is not free, but if you can't sit there and be like, oh, I don't get anything from LinkedIn. Well, no, you haven't posted in like 3 years. So what do you expect? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to. You've got to really get out of your comfort zone. You've got to start using it. Be yourself. And that's, I mean, you've done it with your business. I just tell them to start and worry about the getting better at it as you do it.
Yeah, no, and bang on, because then you've got some data to work with.
Yeah.
Like, it's all hypothetical otherwise, and people do procrastinate. I think the biggest thing is they're just worried about the judgment of others.
Yeah.
And that is tough, right? Like,
It is.
you know, I've had people put pictures of David Brent and stuff on some of our posts. Like, it's good. Like, you're gonna get people giving you grief, sadly.
Yeah.
Never people that are actually doing anything meaningful themselves, obviously, because those sort of people respect other people's endeavors. But anyway, you're always going to get a little bit of that. And I think that's a blocker. I think that's a blocker. People are worried about what people are going to say. And then they're going, right, I need to put something out that's going to be like McKinsey level thought leadership. Like, they think it has to be ridiculously intellectual. It's like, not at all. Actually,
no.
Some of the more relatable, human, scratchy, the better. Like, I've seen plenty of viral posts with spelling mistakes in them.
Yeah. Yeah, right. That's it. It doesn't. People don't care, you know. And I think that's you're absolutely right. Like, if you think about it too much, you won't do it, will you? You know,
no, you won't.
You just need to don't like. But also with social media, and I've never relied 100% on social media for my business. Like, it's a added bonus for me. So if I put more effort into social media, I'll see it in terms of leads, which is great. And if I have a little bit of a break, which sometimes I'm doing other things and I don't use it as much, then I see a slight dip in leads. But we get leads from other sources consistently. So I don't have so much of a worry about what I post on LinkedIn, because I'm not really relying on it for my business. And I think I would recommend that to other new business owners. Like, don't put your eggs in one basket. You know, don't be like, oh, LinkedIn has to get me business, you know, in isolation, because then you are going to be really freaked out and worried about everything you're putting on there. You know, what if someone doesn't like it? Well, I don't care if people don't like what I say, because my business stands on its own 2 feet and it runs regardless of LinkedIn. You know, if my LinkedIn account closed today, Smooth would carry on. So you need to kind of future-proof your business in that way as well.
100%. Yeah, we've definitely been over-reliant in the past, and now we're building partnerships and encouraging referrals and all that stuff, because you can't only have one source of income, can you? It just doesn't make any sense.
No.
Really good tip there. Do you ever burn out on it on social? Do you ever get to the point where you're just over social? Have you hit that point before?
Yeah, I hit that point a long time ago. And I have a kind of love-hate relationship with it. I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and the whole topic of it was the downside of kind of personal branding and all that kind of thing. And I just talked about it kind of quite openly, about how I genuinely wish that nobody knew who I was, who I am. I do burn out on it, and I kind of can't wait for the day that I don't have to use it again, really. But you can't have it both ways, you know, and I understand that.
It's definitely confirmed in my mind that I never want to be famous. That's for sure. Because if this is what it's like with a little bit of a LinkedIn following, and by the way, I think it is worse for females than it is for males. And I've seen that from, you know, mutual friends that we have in the industry and stuff. Like, the difference in terms of the comments that my female friends who are prominent on social get versus me is way worse for them than it is for me anyway. Yeah. But it has, as I say, it's confirmed I don't want to be famous. Like, there are pressures to it. It can feel toxic. It can feel stressful, and you've got to try and detach, haven't you, from like what people are saying, why they're saying it, the vanity metrics, all of that. You've got to try and detach who you are from what's going on online, I think.
Yeah, you have, and it sounds so kind of like almost entitled when I moan about it, because it's like, oh yeah, it must be so hard for you, you know, getting all this business from, you know, you're like, I know, I get that, and I that's why I say I totally understand you can't have it both ways. I get that, but it will just be nice when I can just delete my profiles and not post again. So I've come off Facebook entirely, and LinkedIn will follow and Instagram will follow, because I don't kind of want that, you know, people knowing who I am and all of that, and knowing about my life, and just feeling like they know me when they absolutely don't, because they just see me on social media, so they think they know all about me, but they don't. They just know Jeri on LinkedIn or whatever. So I've definitely burned out already. So it's kind of something that I think I'll just dwindle it down over time. and then I'll go.
Be interesting to see how that pans out.
I know.
It's a good goal. But yeah, I'll be watching. I'll be watching on that. That's interesting.
It's like when you have a personal brand, it's so difficult to do it. We know that. You know that. Our mutual friends know that. When you are the personal brand, you just can't. You can't step away because the branding is you. You can't get other people to do that. But I have put a lot of things in place that have made the business less reliant on me over the years, and I'm working on that all the time.
And that's the right strategy anyway as you scale, right?
Yeah.
You want to decouple the business from you as much as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's where freedom lives, somewhere over there. Yeah, let's get there.
I can't wait.
So other than freedom, what are you excited about in terms of the future? What are you excited about?
Continued growth. We're on a path we've been on for the last 5 years, and I'm excited about that continuing. Although it's at a much more controlled and strategic level. It certainly has been over the last year or so. So that's nice. So I'm excited about that. And we've got new team members joining and things, which is exciting. Coaching is still going great. I was only going to coach a couple of people, but I coach 6 people at the moment, 6 accountancy and 1 financial advisor, business owners. I love doing that. Absolutely love it. So I'm excited to continue with that and see how they all do, because they're all doing brilliantly. And
to your mix then, the coaching.
It's just so nice to be able to help other people because I've been there and they're all kind of a few years behind me. So like I'm sort of living and breathing what they're doing. I can feel what they're saying to me. And they say, oh, this has happened. I'm like, yep, been there. That's happened to me. Or we're going through that at the moment, or we've been through that and this is what we did. And it's so nice to be able to give them solutions that I know are going to work. And then next time I speak to them, they're like, oh, I did that. And it was so great. And they're just getting better. I can see their businesses getting better and better over time. And it's just such a rewarding feeling, really rewarding.
Purpose high is what we call it.
Yeah.
And I'm totally addicted to it. It's awesome.
It's so addictive.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, keep up the coaching. I'll be interested to see how that goes.
Thanks.
For anyone listening that wanted to follow up with you, wanted to see more of your content or engage in some sort of way, what's the best way for them to do that, Jeri?
Probably best to drop me an email, help@smoothaccounting.co.uk.
Yeah, help. So you haven't got your name on your email. I noticed this from the exchanges that we had setting all this up.
Yeah. I've never had Jeri at, and that was a conscious decision because I knew I was going to grow the business. I knew I was going to continually step back and back and back and back as far as I can. So yeah, I've never had Jeri out, so people can't sort of get hold of me. They can, but through help at. Yeah,
well, definitely follow up with Jeri. She's doing some awesome work in the space. Help at Smooth Accounting is the way to go. And that's a good tip as well for other founders if they want to go that route. That's a really smart play. So make sure you follow up. Make sure they're following you as well. Where are we? We're on LinkedIn, YouTube.
LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. My handle's I am Jeri Williams. Definitely YouTube and LinkedIn. Those 3, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, are my 3 main ones.
Amazing. Thanks so much for freeing up your time. I think you shared a load of really good insights. Cheers for that.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Pleasure.
Take care.
Thanks.